John Wink on the line and air bridge collapsing.
There's the sponsor. Kevin Roper.
Behind the battles at the front of the McDonald and Munro Speyside stages, there was plenty of interest in the various classes throughout the field. So let's catch up with the crews we haven't seen yet in the Clubmen and Historic classes. Lachlan McIver and Cameron Morrison's Fiesta was sporting an eye-catching new wrap. After their late retirement on the Snowman, they were determined to make the finish this time. Trying to keep the momentum up with their small engine, they were leaving their braking until the very last second. '68th overall was a good result on their first ever Speyside. Terry Smith and Kenny Fogo were another crew to retire on the Snowman. Despite a couple of small issues this time out, things went much better. Enjoying the event from start to finish, they were happy with second in class and 62nd overall. It was the second ever rally for Owen McLeod in his 205, having contested the Snowman. With Callum Williams alongside, Owen was another really enjoying the stages, particularly the chance to run near the front on the Friday night. 59th overall and the class win was a good result, especially as there were growing concerns over the engine as the event wore on. Owen suspecting it needs a new head gasket before its next outing.
It's been a mission. We're just that's twice we've rebuilt the engine in the last 48 hours. Hopefully we'll get through it and just get to the finish. That's all I want now.
After a myriad of engine issues leading up to the event, Craig Smith and Charles Mackenzie were relieved to even see the start. The adventure continued with an off in Altmore on the Saturday morning and sadly ended with a broken drive shaft in stage 8. The massive effort was rewarded with the Clubman Spirit Award. Campbell and Donald McComb's Speyside was a big improvement over their Snowman retirement. 64th overall, despite a couple of small issues, was a good first finish for the new car. Greg Grant and Morgan Redpath were delayed on the Friday night with a coolant leak, but were much happier on the Saturday. The Focus running well to 60th overall and third in class. A good comeback after their Snowman retirement. Robert Tong and Sean Newlands were making their first start of the season, the MG now sporting a 2-litre Honda engine. A puncture in Gartley didn't stop them from catching the car in front, and they already had a list of changes they want to do to the car by the time they reached the finish. Second in class was a good result with the new engine.
Oh, nice colour scheme. 81.
You were always good at inspiring code.
Taking the class win, Alan McDowell and Mark Casey bounced back after their Snowman retirement. A rear puncture in Altmore damaged the brake caliper, leaving them with 3 brakes for the rest of the day, and they were having gearbox issues. 39th overall was their reward. Keith Seeger and Mark Runciman's rough year continued, the core plug falling out the engine in the dark and putting them out after one stage.
Is that Keith?
Yep, it is.
Keith Seeger for Hamilton with Mark Runciman.
Jordan Anderson and Ian McDougall's difficult year continued. This off in Alkmaar was a setback, but they had to retire when Ian hurt his back on a heavy landing. Also retiring, Brian Watson and Sean Donnelly were forced out with exhaust problems in stage 8.
If you just rewind a wee bit, folks, you'll see that light bar.
5th in class, Neil and Ian Phillip were very happy to see the finish of their home event once again. The venerable Impreza taking a solid 58th overall, surviving a couple of big hits on the scenery throughout the day. Liam Richardson and Darren Kennedy were much happier at the end of the Speyside than they had been at the Snowman. Feeling they were starting to get a handle on the Impreza, they really enjoyed the event, particularly getting 2 runs in Gartley. 55th overall was their reward.
New dad?
I am indeed, yeah.
Are you knackered?
No, I'm not too bad. Kate's been getting up and doing the night feeds, so I've managed to land lucky. So, same, coming out rally, and it's easier to ask for forgiveness and permission, so aye, that's why we're out rallying this weekend.
Here, small crest, long right 6 nips, you'll see it late. Here's it here, look. And left 1.
I should nips.
Left 1, 40.
Cameron Black had just become a dad in the weeks leading up to the Speyside, and the Mazda was also sporting a new colour scheme, courtesy of his dad Brian. With Duncan Don alongside as always, the 323 was running strongly despite losing gearbox oil. Mike Moats stepping in at service to give them some more to keep them in the event. He also decided that the 3-year-old tyres were maybe past their best, on their way to 49th overall and 3rd in class. Davy McLeod and Eamon Boyle bounced back from their Snowman retirement with 2nd in class and 45th overall in the Sunbeam. David enjoying the extra power afforded by the new engine on these fast stages, particularly in Gartley. Ernie and Patricia Lee struggled in the dark with a dodgy map light in the BMW. Once into the daylight, they were much happier and delighted to see the finish. The Speyside having proved to be a tough event in the past, this was only their 2nd finish in 5 attempts, taking 50th overall. Donald Brooker and Tony Booth were making their first start of the year, the historic Spec Legacy, now eligible for Subaru Cup points in 2023. It was a clean and steady run to 43rd overall as Donald got back up to speed after a break from rallying. 37th overall and 3rd in class, Jim Robertson had Graham Wilde in the hot seat for the Speyside. Regular navigator Mike Curry feeling under the weather. Jim still working on adjusting to BDG power again after a couple of seasons of Pinto rallying.